Hi crafty friends, I am just going to give us about another 10 or 15 seconds and see if anyone's going to join us, and then we will get started on today's workshop, which is the Hillside Cottage card making workshop. Looks like my camera is a little bit lopsided today, so I hope that doesn't give you all any kind of headache or anything, because I'm a little scared to touch it, because it's really easy to make it worse instead of better. Okay, hello, it's Betsy from Creating Smiles and Close to My Heart, and we are doing the Hillside Cottage card making class today, and I hope that you're here to participate, because this is a really fun card class. Not only are these cards really pretty and perfect kinds of cards that we all need, thinking of you and thank yous, but they're fun to make and they're great to send. So let me pick them up and get this show on the road. Now, I did do a preparation tutorial the other day to do all the cutting and die cutting of the papers we need for this. So hopefully you have those all done and with you, and we're going to start doing the stamping and assembling. This is card number 1 that we're working on, and let's take a look at what's in our little packet here. Okay, so we have our gray piece, our die cut, I don't remember which side's up on that, and these other pieces. Now, the first thing we'll do is get the stamping part of this done. So we do have some stamping here on the paprika strip, and that is tone on tone. So let's go ahead and use the paprika stamp set. And I did mine a little bit differently than it shows on our instructions, so I'm going to go ahead and just do this the way I did it to begin with, because I kind of like my little twist on it. And that is some X's, and I actually start stamping off at the end because it just looks more natural that way. And then the little star, X's again, oops, a little low on that one, and the star. Oh, I'm getting low on all of them. I better pull this closer to me so I can look more directly down on it. There we go, that's better. So just back and forth on these, and I believe the first time I did it, I actually had them both on one block, which made it even easier and quicker to stamp. So here we go, almost done. And we'll just put this aside with our other pieces, and then we're going to, sorry, I can never pick things up without using my piercing tool to slip under there. Okay, so here we have our little bouquet piece, and we're going to be using several different colors on this. I have my stamps already ready to go here. So let me just start with the paprika one, since I have the paprika out already. There's that. And I'm going to need something to stamp off on, because I think I'm using other colors later on here. And then this next little one is actually second generation stamping. Sorry, I needed to have some cardstock out to do that. So what we're going to do is ink it up really well, stamp it once on scratch paper, and then the second generation is stamped right on your card base there. And next, in New England Ivy, I'm going to put our paprika away for now. And you love these stamp sets, don't you? I mean, ink sets. The magnetic lead is awesome, just stays right on there. And your pad is actually in the lid when you open it up. Okay, we are doing the green now, and it's all one piece, one stamp. So let's go ahead and ink that up with the New England Ivy. I'm going to move this a little closer to myself so I can look more directly down on it. And to be honest, I probably should have done that piece prior to doing the little flower parts, just to make sure that the stems and everything lined up well. But I got lucky. They do line up really well. And the last color we need for this one is Flamingo, which is a nice, I don't know if this is a correct word to use for pink, but I'm going to call it an earthy pink. And we have the largest flower that we're going to do in that. I had trouble lining this one up until I noticed something in the directions here. Let me open this up to the card we're working on, which I should have done to begin with, just in case you're following along in your own directions. I don't know if you'll be able to see this detail in the camera, but this piece has little dashed lines going up and down on it, and that's a good way to orientate it correctly to your die cut. So what we're going to do is line these lines up in the same orientation as they show in the photo, and if it doesn't look like it fits the die cut right, then turn it 180 degrees and try it the other way. I happen to have picked the right orientation, and there we go. Perfect. Or as I would say other times, perfectamente. Okay. And then the last little tiny flower is again second generation stamping. So let's ink that up. We're going to stamp it off on our scratch paper one time and then just squeeze it right in there in front of those leaves. So there's our second piece that we needed to stamp. The last piece is the thanks you're the best, but we're going to wait and do that after we get all our papers on so that we are sure to place it in the right spot. So let's get our card base out and our tape runner, and we're going to start by attaching the dark piece of paper clear at the bottom like so. So let's go ahead and add our tape to that. Make sure you're using the bottom. Open your piece and close it one time to make sure that you have the right side there. I know that sounds silly, but I am just talking from the voice of experience here on what happens when you make assumptions. Okay, then we're going to follow up with the paprika piece that we just stamped, and we're going to just butt that right up against there. You know what? Don't look too closely because I put mine on upside down. So I'm going to remove it, turn around, put it on right side up. This is the fun of crafting, because I warn you about one potential problem and then I do something completely different that was also a potential problem. There we go. Okay, then tape on the paprika stamped piece. And let's push it right up against that piece of black. And now this piece is going to have this little tiny piece of pink on there, and hopefully you got around to getting all of your dashes stamped on there. I'm sorry, those weren't stamped, those were embossed with one of our die cuts that comes with the set. So here we go. And this is, according to our directions, 1/2 inch in. And I usually just eyeball things, but because we do want to leave a specific space over here, I'm going to use my pad to see where the 1/2 inch is. It's right there. But before we do that, we're going to take and dovetail this piece. Aren't you glad I noticed that first? Okay, take one, cut right up the center, and then go in from each side, and you get a perfect dovetail, just like so. Okay. There we are. Here's the 1/2 inch mark. 1/2 inch in from the left-hand edge, and tape it down. And then we're going to grab some thin foam tape and put some tape on the back of our flowers here. And I like the thin foam tape because when you're trying to put these things in the mail, they usually do not require extra postage if you're using the thinner foam tape. So that's a nice little benefit to using it. You still get the dimensional look on your card, but you save a little postage. And who doesn't like to save a little postage? Okay, let's just add one more little piece down there. And then my piercing tool will very nicely take off all of these little back pieces. And we're just going to center that onto our little flag here. Boop. There we go. Okay, now, I think I told you earlier on that I was not using the Distress Oxide inks on my cards, but using the Desert Rose dye base ink. So we're going to do a little bit of sponging back here. This is not a product from close to my heart, so excuse me for having contraband here, but I do love the sponging brushes. They're my favorite tool. So I had to look elsewhere to pick one up, but I love the way the sponging works with these. It's just very, very pretty and, excuse me, soft and kind of perfect in my opinion. So don't need too much sponging going on there. We're going to stamp right over that in black. We're stamping Thanks, You're the Best, which is 2 stamps. So let's do Thanks first. And You're the Best right below that. There we go. Now this card is almost done already. See how fast it goes together once all the papers are cut and everything? And like I say, I think this is so fun where you have these multiple stamps on one die cut to create a really pretty multi-layer look on that image. Next, if I can remember what I've done with them, we have black and white dots. Oh my goodness. Please tell me I haven't lost them. What's really embarrassing is that I had everything out here for tonight, and yet, oh, there they are, right in front of me. I know I had them out. Okay, so this has 3 white dots on it. Again, I'm using my piercing tool to help me get them off of the sheet for placement. And one there. Let's put a medium-sized one down here. and a little itty bitty baby one down on the paprika paper. And there you go. This is card number 1. Very nice, isn't it? I love our thank you cards. Now this is the same card done with different papers and different colors. I used a different embellishment here too, just to change that part up as well. This is the Happiness Lives Here, I believe, paper pack. Very pretty, don't you think? And yet very different kind of look to them. This one could be masculine. It's almost a fall color card, and this one is very spring-like. There we go. One card down. Let me pick up my inks and my dots. I'm going to put the dots back where I thought I lost them, but actually they were safely tucked away for me. Our next card is a Thinking of You card as well. Not as well. First of all, thank you. And this is the card that we are doing for number 2. So let me put that there and pull out the number 2 envelope. The other fun thing about these cards is there's 4 of each design to be made in each paper pack, and you can switch it up. You don't have to do exactly what we show you here. I'm doing that because it's the easiest, but a little bit later I'm going to post out of the other 3 cards I make at least one variant to show that there's more things you can do with it than what we tell you to do with it. And first of all, I'm going to get some of these papers just attached to my card base so that they are taken care of and I don't have to move them aside, because I do that with multiple movements. You can see I've got a little bird on here and a little wheelbarrow. I'm going to have them facing up this time. I'm not going to pull this paper up and replace it 2 times like I did with the first one. So there we go with that. The Mink is the name of that color, goes across the bottom. Mine was cut from the dark side, so I have a little bit of ridge on it, and I'm going to just press that ridge down with my bone folder. And looking at my instructions, that is 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom of the card. So that would be about right there. So let's go ahead and put some tape on that. Again, I'm not stamping on this yet because I want to make sure that I stamp it appropriately for where these other pieces come in. So I will stamp it after the fact. There's 3/4 of an inch up on that side. Matches on the other side perfectly. The pink piece, we are going to do dovetails on both ends here. So a little slice in the middle, in from the edge, in from the corner, other end, and a little slice in the middle, in from one corner, and in from the other corner. Okay, that piece, according to our directions, is 3/4 of an inch up from the bottom of the gray piece. So this is fun, isn't it? That would be the 1/2 inch mark right there and there. So let's put some tape on the back of that piece. Okay, 3/4 of an inch is right there. This one we'll need to be a little careful with because we're measuring it side to side as well. So that looks pretty good to me. Let's go ahead and press that down. And I'm going to put the die cut aside for a moment, and we will attach the white rectangle to the paprika rectangle. It goes onto the dark side, so make sure your dark side is up. Oops. out of tape on that first runner. Okay, so center that onto your paprika piece. Now, again, we're going to do some desert rose sponging in the back. And this isn't very dark on there. It's kind of light. And what you just saw me do over here was kind of get a little bit of a start in case I had any blops of ink on the brush. And I am going kind of from the center out so that the darkest pieces of my sponging on this will remain underneath the actual flower that we're going to put onto it. So we need our paprika, our evergreen, New England ivy, and flamingo. Sorry, sometimes these names just escape me. Let's go ahead and attach this to this page beforehand. And again, on our instructions, it is 1 1/4 inch up from the very bottom. So let's see. Let me put this at a 1 inch mark. So it goes to about there. Add tape. And place. Voila. Okay. Set that aside. Let's start with our New England ivy this time and the stems. And get that all. And you need to just look right down through your clear stamp. Do you remember when we had all wooden block stamps? You could not do this kind of stamping unless you had a specific placement tool, and that was by itself a little awkward. Okay, now we need this flower one again. We're going to use that with the paprika color. And again, if you look at the lines on there, you can tell that they are going almost vertical, a little bit to the right, and using that, it narrows the way that your flower goes on to 2 directions. So it either goes this way. Not sure mine does, so I'm going to turn it around 180. That looks better. I believe that's the way my flower goes. There we go. Now mine may look a little darker here than here, but they will lighten up a little bit as it dries, and sometimes that takes a little bit of time. And let's go back to the little teeny tiny flower in flamingo. And this time we're going to put it on full strength, no second generation stamping on that one this time. And I am looking for you, little guy. There you are. This one, I am sure there's a right and wrong way for it to go so that it matches that edge, but I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, let's put that aside for just a moment and bring our card base back out, and we're going to grab our black ink and our Thinking of You stamp. And that's going to go right below the paprika. centered left to right between that piece. There we are. Move our ink pad out of the way so we don't have any accidents. And let's put some foam tape on the back of our little flower bouquet here. I do know some consultants simply tear this tape. I am just not good at tearing it to an appropriate size, so I continue to cut mine with my scissors. And remove the backing. And let's place that in the middle of the place that we did our sponging, which makes it such pretty shading. Okay, now we're going to add some black dots to this one. And we'll do little tiny dots close to the words. Oops. Come here, little guy. Front end and back end. There we go. And a medium-sized dot. Okay, there is card number 2. Just as pretty as card number 1. And let's show you the other stamp or other papers and colors I used with it. Sorry, I seem to have a little bit of shaking going on there on my hands. Don't know what that's about. So there we are. More spring and bright colored on this one. I used the Bluebell glitter gems, which was really fun because I love things that are glittery and shiny like that. And Bluebell for the background shaded part. I probably would go a little less next time I do this one, but I do like that look a lot. Okay, let's move on to card number 3, which is a thank you card. And let's move our instructions to the next page. And, oops, grab an envelope with our pre-cut pieces in it. Now when you're doing the rest of your cards, you can go ahead and stamp all your pieces for each design at one time, so you're not having to grab things in and out, back and forth, but I don't see much point of me trying to do all 4 cards at one time of each design, because we'd be on here all night and my voice would kick out on me and there'd be all kinds of problems going on here. Okay, we have part of a zip strip here, so we're going to do a little dovetail cut on one end of that. So same old, little cut up the middle, and then from the 2 corners to the top of that cut, and then the little piece that goes below it. I don't know if yours has an upside or a downside. Mine seems like it could be either way. So let's just do a little dovetail here. I did that one a little deeper than I normally do, so that's going to be a little bit different. And then let's go ahead and start building the card here. We have the 2 paprika strips. One's going to go at the very bottom edge of the card. Make sure you can open your card from the bottom, and we're having dark side up, or wait, is that? I believe it's dark side up. It says 3A, it doesn't say 3A asterisk. So there we go. I think on this one it looks like I did the light side up, so in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Put that right across the bottom edge. And then we're going to take our flamingo pink piece, and this one doesn't have a top or bottom, upside down side, so we'll just put our adhesive on it and smash it right up against that paprika piece. And then one more paprika piece across the top there. Now, I don't know if you've noticed on mine, it seems like I have cut some of these pieces just a hair short, and that's because of the width of the marks on my paper cutter. And if you want to avoid doing that, one thing you can do is cut it long on purpose, and then be prepared to just trim it to the edge of your card if necessary. That's only if it bothers you that it might be a little bit short on one end. Some people are extremely irritated by things like that, and other people are just kind of like, whatever. I won't tell you which one I am, but I wish mine were a little longer. Okay, okay, this piece is supposed to be shorter. Let me rush back to the cutting guide and see what length that should have been for number 3B. Three-quarter. Wait, no, that's 2C. 3D, there we go. 3/4 by 5. Well, I must have cut that to 5.5. Let me just do a real quick trim on this. Here's 5. Okay, we're back in business, people. Let's go ahead and put some tape on this one, and we are going to put it right up against that paprika piece. And then our zip strip, after we put some adhesive on it, is going to fit right up against that. No gap in between. And there, that covered up my little hair of white that showed up on that side. It's magic. Okay, with our paprika ink, we are going to stamp our little triple X's across the top of that, or above the top of it. Is this the X? Okay. And after you do a couple from the left, you can do a couple from the right. And that's really all you should need, because we're going to cover up the center part of that. Okay, next, let's do our sponging on our white square. And if you don't have a brush for sponging, you can simply use a sponge dauber or a mini mini sponge. There's all kinds of different kinds of sponging tools. So your choice of what your favorite is and how you like to sponge. So there's that, and I will go ahead and adhere it to our gray piece. Looks like we have the dark side up this time. And I'm going to just center it side to side and same distance down from the top. We're leaving the bottom there to say thanks. So let's go ahead and get that stamped right on there while we're working with it. And we're going to have that just off to the side. Okay. We might as well lay that down on top of our card while we're doing it. So our instructions say that that goes, whoa, did I turn this over? Am I on the wrong card here? I did turn it over. That goes 1/2 inch in from the right and 1/2 inch up from the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to line that up. 1/2 inch from the bottom, 1/2 inch from the right, and it's all still kind of eyeballing it because I don't have those measurements drawn clear onto my card. So we're going to put him aside up there and go to work on these little flower guys. Now, all the little stem pieces are going to be done in New England Ivy. And you can match those up by the picture and by the die cut here. So the first one is like almost like two little bulbous leaves on the stem. So there's one. The second one is just one leaf on each side. Kind of like a little heart with a stem through it. Third one is the big leaves. And the last one, set at 2 leaves, medium size. Again, they look kind of like 2 hearts with stems going through them. Okay, we will be using those stamps again. And next we need paprika. And we're going to use this one that looks like a long skinny onion to me. And that's the far left flower. Let me see here. I believe these are all full strength except for the one on the very right. Whoa, I went a little crooked on that one. Sorry, Mr. Flower. And the next paprika one is the, I don't know, let's call this guy a thistle. It's the third one from the left. And I'm being a little more careful placing that one than I did on the first one. I'm sorry, I've just realized that my head kind of blocks your view on some of these. Oops. Okay, now let's grab the flamingo pad and the flower that looks like a lollipop. That goes between the 2 paprika ones. And the last flower is the big, I don't know, I always think this is a daisy. And it is 2nd generation stamp, so I'm going to stamp it off once on my paper. And mine came out very, very light. Okay, now for a little bit of our 3D thin foam tape. I'm going to just cut myself a couple pieces here. Try to get it all put together at once, kind of, more or less, maybe in a way. And I just need one more piece for that end flower. Now you may notice on my samples here, I did go ahead and use the thicker foam tape. You can tell that that is really quite popped up. And I do like that look an awful lot, but I am trying to be conscious of, you know, mailing. So it's always up to you which dimension you want, a thicker one or one that's just a little slightly less tall. And often cards are put in with a gift or something, so they're not necessarily even going through the mail. Okay, I'm going to put this right across the center. And don't you love the way that sponging just makes them pop? A little bit of color from the background just boop, gives them a great little lift. And we're going to put a large dot right on near the corner of the white piece and a medium dot next to that. There we go. That is our card number 3. And let's see what else we did with that with different colors and different papers. Isn't that pretty? I just love this other design. I mean, I like this one a lot too, but this one always just feels brighter and lighter to me. So I just want you to be very aware of how versatile these stamps are, that you can use them time and time and time again and get a different look. You can use the same pattern. Just keep the instructions that come with your kit and use it to cut other papers with, and do the same pattern just in different colors and different orientations if you want to, which I will show you some more cards later on. I promised you that. They won't be tonight because I did not have time to put them together yet. Okay, this is the last card we're going to be working on this evening. And this one, you may notice that the Thinking of You is not in one straight piece like it was with our first card that we used that stamp on. There's two ways you can do that. You can ink up just part of the stamp and make sure the other part of it is very clean. Put some paper down to keep it from smudging if you're using the whole thing, or you can do what I did and cut the words apart. You noticed on my first stamp, my first one, way back here, that I had just fine stamping it out. You had no idea that stamp has been cut in two. So there's no problem with cutting your stamps apart if you want to use just part of it, and then kind of squishing them back together when you're ready to do more. Okay, what have we got going here? We have these two pieces, the white square a little piece of mink and 2 of the flower die cuts. Let's start by doing our sponging on these flowers. Again, desert rose. And we'll do this piece while we're at it. I'm going to put my little Stampin' Off piece of paper under these for while I'm doing the sponging so that it goes onto the paper, not onto my work surface. And you want to make sure that you have stems down and flower sides up so that you're actually sponging where you're going to stamp your flowers and not your stems. Now I probably could have gone a little lighter with my sponging on here. I can see that it's coming out kind of dark, and that's one thing with sponging, it often will be darker than you expect it to be, especially if you're using a stencil to sponge. You can see where I lifted these up, how dark it is underneath. When you're using a stencil, that often will surprise you. Oops, I'm not done. I thought I was like just clearing that off so that I was getting rid of the ink in it, but I still have more ink to do. There's not a lot to talk about when one is sponging, is there? I understand that these are actually makeup brushes, so I paid a lot for mine. I got them from a particular stamp company that I really like, and mine are all different colors, so I can kind of color coordinate them to what colors I'm going to be sponging with them. But I know there's a lot of less expensive ones out there. They're normally all just like black handles, and that makes no bit of difference. So just, you know, search the internet for the ink sponges or even makeup sponges that are brushes. I guess you would call it ink brushes. Well, you don't want to get like painter's brushes though. So look for makeup brushes, I guess. And pick yourself up a set of these because they are awesome and they're so soft. Okay, let's do our thinking of you first. Get this out of the way. And you can see I'm picking mine up. Oops, it's broken. Nope, it's not broken. It is just cut apart. So I'm going to line it up kind of how I want it on the card. Not just kind of, I'm lining up how I do want it. And then I can just pick it up with my block like that. Let's grab the black ink. And ink it up. I'm looking over here, we want to do it a little bit towards the top because we have some little bit of patterns that we're doing below that. So there we go. And it's 3 of this little star piece guy. So I'm going to do 1 in the middle and then 1 on each side of that. Okay, I didn't do as good a job as I did on my original one. I can turn that over and try it again, which I just will do because I don't like it. So sorry to make you watch me do this a second time. Whoa. Haha, that was the black ink, not the right one for sponging with. This could create a dilemma. Let's turn that over and see if we can get that out. Okay, it will also come out with a little bit of water when I'm all done here. Okay, I think I'm going to just leave it a little bit softer than I did on the first one. Again, I am not paying attention to my inks. Must be getting late here in Kentucky, right? Okay, thinking of view more towards the top than the bottom. And back to our little star guy. Okay, I'm going to eyeball one in the center. And I'm just going to eyeball where I think is appropriate on each side. There we go. I like that a lot better than I did with my first one. Thank you for bearing with me to watch me get that all done. Okay, now to these guys. We need to do our New England ivy stems, and since we have two sets, we'll be dancing. We will be stamping twice with each stamp. There's one, and there's two, and the next one is single leaf on each side. Then we have the big leaves for number 3. I mentioned earlier how the stamping the ink looks so much darker when it's first applied. You can see right here, these do not even look like I'm using the same colors, but I am. I assure you that this is the New England ivy on both. Okay, now all of our flowers this time are done with the paprika. So let's grab the paprika. And we're first going to use the squashed onion. Where is my squashed onion? There we go. And because I've been having problems with my ink colors recently, I stamped one just to make sure I am using the right color. Okay, next we have the lollipop. There we go. The thistle, which I have no idea if that really is a thistle, but I like calling it a thistle. It could be a dandelion puff. Could be something I've never heard of before. And last is the daisy stamp. I don't have a good way to tell you to line this one up. I think mine goes like that, so we'll see if that looks right once I got it stamped on here. I think it's still off, but I think it's good enough. Okay. Now, this card is probably the one that requires the most spacing on it. So the large or the dark paprika piece is down 3/4 of an inch from the top. And I'm just going to eyeball it side to side because I think it's I don't think that the measurements on here are quite right. So yes, the paprika goes down first. This piece also should have been paper embossed with that straight piece from the die cut sets. So you have some little dashes, top and bottom. Okay, that's that. 3/4 of an inch. 1, 2, 3 is about right there. Left to right looks pretty good. Let's call that good. Okay, now our dark piece is 1/4 inch in from the edge, and it says 1 1/8 inch down from the top. That's a fun little number to work with, isn't it? Okay, so there's 1 1/8, that's about right there. There's 1/4 inch. Doesn't look quite right over here, so I'm going to move it in a little bit farther than 1/4 inch. Okay, yeah, about 1 1/8 right there. Uh-oh. I have a stray hair that wants to be part of this card. I think I can just cut it because that's going to be, you know what, I did it again. I put it upside down, but that's going to be covered, so I'm not going to worry about it. I hope you guys are doing better than I am at figuring out what's upside down and what's right side up, because I am not handling that really well today. Kind of looks in the picture. Let me see. This part is what number? White daisy and tattered rose. What did they say this piece is? This is 4C. It says attach 4C with 3D foam tape. That's interesting to me because we're also going to be putting this little piece on here as if it's a piece. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it differently than what they probably mean. I'm going to put the 3D foam tape at the bottom. And again, I'm just using, ignore that mine's stamped on, remember that's just the wrong side. And I'm going to use my adhesive at the top. So what I'm getting is a piece that's stuck flat at the top and raised at the bottom. And this goes down. It says 1/4 inch from the bottom. So I'm going to put it about right there. Left to right. Okay, this little piece of mink, and it says to tear the ends, and that's designed to make it look like it's washi tape. So we'll do that and attach it above there, which is why I didn't want to put foam tape at the top. Does that make sense? There we go. Okay, now to get our pretty little guys onto the bottom, we are going to do the foam tape thing again. And I'm going to expedite this by doing larger pieces across the top. I don't know why I didn't think of doing that the first time. And then just the little pieces on the stems. Okay, so this one is going to go clear to the left here. And I'm going to go ahead and put that on before I prepare the next piece. So let's get some back pieces off. There we go. Now, the next piece, putting it clear over to this edge, is going to overlap it a little bit onto that piece. So what we will do is not put adhesive on this far left side. So if I turn it over like this, it's still the far left piece that I'm not putting adhesive on. Okay, and let's get the stems. Oops. And destroy the back pieces by taking them off. I'm sorry guys, I am really warm in this room and I have my fan on so low because if I put it on very high, it gets very loud. My speaker on my camera picks up that white noise like crazy. All of a sudden I just feel like, whew, who turned on the heat in here? Okay, place that so that it overlaps on the other. There we go. And some white dots. So let's do a big one and a medium one. And this time we'll do it towards the right hand side. Oops. Right there. And right there. Okay, there is our last card, and again I did it also with the Happiness Lives Here paper pack, and I used a couple of the Bluebell glitter gems inside this little guy here and made it sparkle up that way. So there we go. I hope you've enjoyed this class tonight, and I hope you have a good night. Have fun finishing the rest of your cards, and do try moving things around a little bit and see what happens when you use some of your own ideas with it. See you next time. Bye-bye.